What's going on? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I want to welcome you guys to Financial Juneteenth TV, where I actually get a chance to hear your Black Wealth confessions, and I will give you my instant feedback on what I think about your confession. And so today we're going to talk about a 28-year-old who sent me a note basically saying, I'm 28 years old and I sold all my stocks valued at $30,000 to start my business. I now make $30,000 a month. Not necessarily a confession, but I thought I'd share what I was willing to risk for my freedom. So we're going to talk about that right now in just 1 second. I'm going to break that down for you right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and I run the Black Financial Channel and also Financial Juneteenth TV. And one of the things that we like to do is a couple of times a week, we do what we call Black Wealth Confessions, which also could be called Black Wealth Testimonies, where you confess your biggest financial mistakes or stupid things that you've done, and we break it down. And first, I give you forgiveness for that mistake because we all make mistakes. We all do something stupid. And then we talk about how that can be done better, how we can recover from our mistakes and do better next time, and also how we can learn from the mistakes of others. Well, you know what? Black people, we're super creative. We always take what's there, we make it into something better. So even though I laid this out as Black Wealth Confessions, there are some of you who actually did things really well the first time around. You actually have an inspirational story that you want to share with other people. So it actually became Black Wealth Testimonies also, where there are some people that, would just tell me something great that they did, a good move that they made. And to me, those are welcome also. So you can go to the altar and you can either give a confession or a testimony, and I will respond to either one. So if you're interested in leaving your Black Wealth confession or your Black Wealth testimony, just go to blackwealthconfessions.com. That's blackwealthconfessions.com. So anyway, guys, Will Dill says I missed the old theme song. Actually, the old theme song's not gone. I try to separate the content that I do. I got Dr. Boyce TV, where I talk about a little bit of everything. I might hit economics, but I might hit politics. I might hit relationships. I'd like to talk about all things happening in the Black community because I'm not a finance professor who happens to be Black. I'm a Black man who happens to be a finance professor. So everything I do is through the lens of Blackness. That's why we start off using hashtag B1 in the chat to say that we're Black first. I think that's really important because you're so used to putting yourselves last that you don't understand. Like, this is why your community suffers, is that you're always putting yourself last. Well, I want to put Black people first, and I think that's a habit and a tradition that we must establish in order for us to be successful. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. Shout out what city you're from. Let me know what city you're coming from, and let's break this down. So this person, I don't know if it's a he or she. I'm going to say she, just in case. It says, I'm 28 years old and sold all my stocks valued at $30,000 to start my business. I now make $30,000 a month. Not necessarily a confession, but I thought I'd share what I was willing to risk for my freedom. Well, first of all, let's just take a moment of silence and give a quick digital like applause to whoever this person is. I don't know if they're listening or not, but go ahead and shout out this person for making the big plunge that they made to change their life. I think that's extraordinary. I think that you should be congratulated. Congratulate the sister in the chat or this brother, who, whatever it is. Congratulate this person because this is what it takes really to be successful. I mean, you got to be willing to put something on the line. You see, a lot of people want to go to heaven, but ain't willing to spend a second in hell. And most successful people, most people who've achieved significant freedom, have had to go through hell in order to get to their heaven. They couldn't play it safe and then get the big win. You can't get the big win a lot of times when you're always playing it safe. If you're always afraid to leave your current shore, then you'll never discover new lands. All you're going to get is what you know and what you see around you. And so anybody who ever wants to have a different life has to realize the importance of making different decisions. Now, so let's process this, right? This 28-year-old is now making $30,000 a month. That's $360,000 a year. Do most 28-year-olds make $360,000 a year? They're surgeons. surgeons that make that kind of money. Go to med school for 14 years or whatever. Go to, they do 4 years of college, another 4 or 5 years of medical school, another 4, 5, 6 years of a residency. So they go to school about 14 years to make that kind of money. But this 28-year-old, which, when you get to my stage in life, 28 is like a kid. That's I remember when I was 28, I wasn't making $30,000 a month. But this 28-year-old's making $30,000 a month because they took a chance. They took what I hope was a calculated risk, in hopes that they could have a better life. And let's say that it hadn't worked out. Let's say that they took the plunge, because that's the problem. A lot of y'all got Negro naysayers in your family. You got people in your family who hold you back. These are people that claim to love you, but the way they show that their love for you is by trying to make you as afraid as they are. Misery and fear love company. Misery and fear love company. And misery and fear get pissed off when you decide not to have as much fear as they have. It's like they're wearing a red outfit and they get mad at you because you decide to wear a blue outfit. They're wearing their misery. They're wearing, people like that in your family. That literally think that being black means you're always supposed to be in the struggle. That if you try anything new, it's always going to fail, and then you're going to be sorry because you didn't take that job at the post office that was paying $25 an hour, maybe $20 an hour. I don't know how much they pay at the post office now. No disrespect if you do work at the post office. I'm just saying that I think that there might be something better out there for you. So I'm sure that this person dealt with the Negro naysayers in her family or his family, and those people probably thought they were crazy when they made that move. So this 28-year-old, what they did was they built a capital base. A capital base is basically one of the key factors that separates rich people from poor people. It's one of the big reasons why you should be demanding reparations from your government, because your ancestors tried to leave you a capital base, but they weren't allowed to do that. The capital base is nothing but a pack of resources that gives you options. It's some wealth that you have, maybe some land, maybe some cows, maybe some money in the bank, maybe some stocks, maybe a little business. It's something that allows you to be able to make moves. It's like having a car. If you have a car, you can drive places. So capital is like a car that helps you get to places you want to get to. So this 28-year-old built a capital base of $30,000. They saved up their money, bought $30,000 worth of stock. Now that's a great move. That's huge right there. That means that they're not going to have too many financial problems, assuming they don't go too deep in debt. They've got plenty of money available, liquid assets available to help them get through financial crises. They were going to be in good shape. But then they said, you know what? I want to go for the big piece of, the big piece of chicken. I want to make the big move. I want to go for something better. So this 28-year-old made the decision to sell all the stock and put that money into a business. Now, do I recommend that decision? Well, no, yes and no, yes and no. I recommend it and I don't recommend it. I recommend it if you want freedom so bad that you are willing to risk it all to obtain it. Then I think it's fine. If you really are just so sick of that job, so sick of getting up and going to work for somebody else every day, and you want to go and take a plunge to get ahead, I can't knock it. I mean, that's what I did. That's what I did. I threw away a great career. I was making $115,000 a year. My first job as a professor at Syracuse University. I was the highest paid assistant professor on the entire campus, and I was the highest paid associate professor, and I wasn't even an associate yet. I hadn't even been promoted yet, and I made more than all the white people who'd been promoted ahead of me. So to some extent, financially, they were treating me pretty good. But I didn't really like the environment. I felt like I was not wanted there. I did not feel like I was respected. I felt like me being too black, was going to get punished. And I got tired of that. So I said, you know what? I don't care what happens. I got to get out of here. Right. So some people are willing to put it all on the line for their freedom. And I think that's okay. Now AJRX says, hopefully he or she is saying the truth. It doesn't sound probable or realistic. Now, that's a good quote. I'm going to put that up there. Now, I want to ask those of you who are in this room, yes or no, yes or no. Have you ever seen a person quit their job and start a business and make over $30,000 a month? Do you think it's realistic to believe that there are business owners out here, black business owners who are black, just like you and I, who make $30,000 a month, who started with very little? Give me a yes or no. AJ says it's unrealistic. You think that's realistic? You think that that happens or not? Or what do you say? What do you think? Yes or no? The reason I'm going to say yes is because I think that what you're exposed to determines what you believe is possible or not. I went to an event down in Atlanta, hosted by Lamar Tyler, and I met about 30 or 40 black people who, many of whom were under the age of 50, some of whom were under the age of 30, who were making as much as $200,000 a month. Most of them were making the lower end were making, you know, 20, $30,000 a month. There were some people there who were making as much as $250,000 a month. And now, what I'm saying to you is that sometimes what you think is possible depends on what you've been exposed to. You know, when I grew up, I wasn't exposed to business owners. I don't know about you, but give me a yes or no in the chat if that's your experience. But I wasn't exposed to people who, you know, who were making that kind of money. I didn't know that that existed. I didn't know that there were people who worked less, you know, worked 10 hours a week and were making, you know, $100,000 a week. I didn't know that that was out there. But now that I'm older and I've seen, I've studied finance at a very high level and I've taught it at a high level, you would be absolutely astonished by how much money there are that's being made by small business owners where they don't even tell you how much money they make because they're not on TV, they're not famous. It's not like they're playing in the NBA or the NFL and their contracts are being put in the newspaper. These are just regular business owners, people that are really unassuming. Actually, many rich people I know who are making that kind of money. And $30,000 a month, when I say that kind of money, I'm talking about 100, 200, $300,000 a month. 30,000 a month is not considered a massive business. That's considered to be financially free, financially independent. That's not, you know, the kind of money that people make when they go buy private yachts and all this other crap that they do. You know, but the deal is that if you are in a family where you are trained at an early age to build business and to make investments, then it is not at all surprising or inconceivable to make that kind of money. I have a cousin. I have a cousin who makes that kind of money. Who makes actually several $100,000 a month. He wasn't, but when he started making that level of money, he was about 31 years old. He never went to college. Instead he spent his time learning how to start a business and how to run a business, and he learned technology. So he learned how to scale his business early. So this man probably makes more money by breakfast than most people make in a 6 month period. He makes more money by 10 a.m. than most people make in 6 months of going to work every day. And it's because he picked up the right skill. He did. He, you know, I'm not saying that going to college is a bad thing. I was a college professor, but once I learned finance and how finance works at a high level, I said, you know, wait a minute. I think that as black people, we've been sold a false bill of goods. You see, the way capitalism kind of works, unfortunately, which is one of the bad things about it, but it is what it is that the majority, the masses of people that get up and go to work every day pretty much provide support for the lifestyle of the people who don't have to work every day. So the renters are basically buying houses for their landlords. When you pay rent and you're not getting anything in return, you're buying a house for your landlord. The consumers pay the bills of the producers. So if all you know how to do is buy products and consume, then you're going to be paying the bills of the people that are selling you things, selling you Air Jordans or Popeye's chicken or whatever. The employees are building the businesses of the employers, which is one of the reasons why I'm a big advocate of stock ownership. Because if you own stock, then that means when the value of the company goes up, then the value of your net worth goes up. Now, what happens is that there's a psychological barrier. There are people who believe that black people aren't supposed to own stock. So it's not that, you know, any white person is telling you you can't do it. You just don't believe that it's meant for you, right? And then what I do is I return to them and I say, actually, you can buy stock for as little as $5. So if I said I was selling bottles of Hennessy for $5, I would sell out in about 10 minutes. So the question becomes, um, you know, if I could sell bottles of Hennessy for $5, why can't I convince people to buy shares of stock for $5 or $10 or whatever, right? So what I'm saying to you is, at the end of the day, mindset and what you believe is possible ultimately determines what actually is possible. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. And I want to remind you guys, we have the Black Wealth Calendar that's out for 2021. If you want to get a Black Wealth calendar, you can go to blackwealthcalendar.com. The Black Wealth calendar features wealth tips for every month of the year. So feel free to go to Black Wealth calendar and take a look. And also our Black Wealth Bootcamp. We're doing another Black Wealth Bootcamp starting on January 7th. And so if you want to be a part of that, for Black Friday and everything else, we have a massive discount. So maybe at the time of you hear this recording, the discount may still be available. If not, I'm sure you can either do the live session or see the recordings of the bootcamp. They're really, really good. So feel free to take a look. It's blackwealthbootcamp.com. Black Wealth Bootcamp is all about everything related to economic independence, reducing dependence on the corporate plantation, quitting your job, or keeping your job and becoming financially secure, whichever one you want to do. Black Wealth Bootcamp is a very good all-purpose program. People love it. So feel free to take a look. All right, hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. So Kevin says, I like this channel. Thank you, Kevin. I like the fact that you're here, brother. I respect you for that. So with this 28-year-old on today's Black Wealth Confession, which, again, this isn't really a confession. This is more of a testimony. But I think testimonies are great for inspiration. This 28-year-old tells me that she or he sold $30,000. They saved up money and bought $30,000 worth of stock, sold the stock, started a business, and now they make $30,000 a month. And at the end, the person says, I did this because I wanted my freedom that bad. And I really love that, because what I find is that the microaggressions that you deal with on the job, the stress that you deal with on the job, the mistreatment you deal with on the job, these are things that really test your tolerance point. And one of the things that is a gift and a curse for Black people is that we have an extreme tolerance for significant disrespect. We are incredibly good at surviving in the middle of misery. If you listen to the song Lift Every Voice and Sing, which Joe Biden actually named his economic plan for Black people, Lift Every Voice plan. If you listen to that song, the song is all about how we have continued to march on despite the bloody roads we trod, despite the chastening rod, despite all the pain and agony we've gone through, despite the death that we've experienced, despite all the pain and agony, we've continued to march forward, right? And so to some extent, that song is a reflection of tremendous resilience that you have as a community, for which you should be commended. But it is also, unfortunately, a tribute to the unfortunate complacency that you might often see from individuals who just love living in the struggle, who really almost can't survive without the struggle, almost the way you might have an alcoholic that's addicted to the poison being in his body, to the point where if you give him something healthy, he might actually die because his body needs the poison in order to function. So many of us need the poison of oppression in order for us to feel normal. If you give someone the hope or the possibility of doing something better, sometimes their first reaction is not excitement, it's anger. It's anger, maybe driven by fear, perhaps driven by jealousy, driven by those negative vibrations, those low-level vibrations that you have from living the life that you live. So what I would hope that you would try to understand is that in order for us to really obtain freedom and to know what freedom looks like, a shift in mindset is sometimes called for. And that shift in mindset might involve actually committing to the idea that you deserve something better. It might be committing to the idea that that other things are possible for you, that you can go to the next level. This takes practice. This really takes practice. And so when I hear what this 28-year-old did, I see a person who busted out of the poverty cycle that many working class and poor people are stuck in. This person they jumped the fence. They jumped the imaginary fence that exists between wealth builders and those who built wealth for other people. For 400 years, you built wealth for other people. First, you were slaves, and then you did Jim Crow, and then many of us now are employees. We're always building wealth for other people. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you get what I'm saying. Give me a yes or no if you know what I'm talking about. We built wealth for other people. There was a time where if you owned enough Black people, you could actually put that on a mortgage, and you can actually get a loan from the bank where your collateral literally consisted of Black people that you owned. So you were not owners of wealth, you were the wealth. You didn't create wealth for yourself, you created wealth for other people through ownership of you. Now, instead of owning you, they own your labor, but they still kind of own you, right? If you think about the essence of what the word slave really means, slavery doesn't just mean that you're not paid. Slavery also doesn't always mean direct forced labor. Slavery could mean that you are being paid, but you're forced to do something every day. So I want you to process this for a minute. How many people do you know who, if you say to them, hey, it's a Tuesday, let's hang out and let's go to the movies or let's go to the beach? What are they going to say? They're going to say, nah, I can't. I got to go to work. Well, that's slave talk. That you're a slave. Like you want to go. I mean, I'm sure that they would rather go to the beach than go to work, but you got to go to work, right? Slavery means the inability to make your own decision. Slavery means you have no options. Slavery means you don't have a choice in what you're going to do next. So many of us are slaves. We're just paid slaves. Some of us are high paid slaves, right? So because your boss would probably respond if you say, "Gosh, I hate this job. I wish I wasn't a slave." What would they say? They'd say, well, you could quit if you want to, but you really can't quit. You say, yeah, I would quit, but I can't. Slave, right? Like you need to understand that, right? So when you're talking about what freedom looks like, freedom pretty much means the ability to get up and decide what you're going to do with your day. So what I would say is when you're talking about this 28-year-old, what I really love about this story is that the 28-year-old figured out a freedom plan. Every black person in America and around the world needs to figure out what is your freedom plan. Your freedom plan might start with knowledge. Knowledge don't cost much. You can learn a lot of things for nothing, right? And then or then when you get a couple of dollars in your pocket, instead of putting your money into supporting other people's role in the economic system, you could put that into your own human capital. Like, I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to, I want to start a business. Well, I'm going to go spend this few extra dollars taking a class on how to start a business or whatever it is, whatever that you're trying to do. And then you build a capital base. You start investing in stocks. At the allblackagenda.com, we actually have what I call the $5 a day investing plan, or the Dr. Boyce method, whatever you want to call it. And the $5 a day investing plan literally shows you how to invest with just $5 a day. And here's the URL, the allblackagenda.com. And basically, what you're doing there is you're creating a launching pad to launch you to freedom, right? The launching pad is your capital base, just like you have a space station that has a base, right? Where the rocket launches from the base. Well, your capital base could be the stocks that you own, like this 28-year-old. So the 28-year-old builds up $30,000 in stocks. In the meanwhile, maybe that 28-year-old was spending time learning how to start a business. Maybe they weren't ready to move yet, but they were getting information, learning, studying things. Ask yourself, how many of our people know how to start a business? How many of our people know how to invest? How many of our people know real estate? And then compare that to how many of our people know how to play basketball? How many of our people know how to play football? How many of our people know how to dance? How many of our people know what their favorite celebrity's doing? How many of our people know how to get on Twitter and keep up with whatever the trending hashtag is? How many people are doing these stupid challenges that online that are complete waste of time, right? So you got to ask yourself, what are you experts in? What are you good at, right? What do you spend your time on, right? So this 28-year-old, I'm gonna finish the story here. The 28-year-old builds a capital base, and then learns how to start a business. Then takes their capital base to get the capital they need to start their business. They probably started the business small, and then the business grew, and now this 28-year-old is making $30,000 a month, which is giving that 28-year-old more freedom than most 50-year-olds have. So I just want to tell you guys, look, this is not this is not impossible. I have thousands of people that have come through the Black Business School who send me all kinds of stories. I mean, $30,000 a month, honestly, is quite mild. I've had people hit me up and tell me they're making $500,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $200,000 a month. And the thing is, it's one of those things where it's easier to do those things when you teach your children these things at an early age. And so for example, if you teach a kid early that the best way to make money is to have a business and to know technology and things like that, then that child is going to think about money very differently from a kid who grows up only hearing that the best way to make money is to get a job. So if you want to take a look at our Black Business School for Children, it's at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. It's a great program because what I do is I take advanced concepts I used to teach my students at Syracuse University, and I chop them up almost like baby food so that even a 5-year-old can understand these concepts. I'm a big believer that the best way to get your children ahead of everyone else. And, again, I'm not interested in Black people being included. I'm not really big on things like integration. I'm not anti-integration. I just don't think that's the solution for us. I don't care about us getting more jobs so much. I think there are plenty of people that will hire you to go build their business, right? I'm more interested in us building businesses so that we can actually create our own jobs. And so basically, my belief, my argument is that in order for us to make a power play, a cosmic power play that would propel us ahead of everybody else, is for us to get all of our kids ready on the wealth front at an early age, where their kids start business school at 18, your kids are starting business school at 7. It's the same model that's used right now in football and basketball. Think about this. Give me a yes or no. Have you ever seen those football camps that start recruiting kids when they're 7, 8 years old? Give me a yes or no. Have you seen those basketball camps that start recruiting kids when they're in the 3rd grade? Give me a yes or no if you've seen that in your neighborhood, right? Or dance camps, or cheerleading camps, right? Or they charge the parents be poor, no money in the bank, but yet you're spending $500 sending your daughter to cheerleading camp. Have you ever seen this? Has anybody noticed this? Right. Well, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things. You should still go to cheerleading camp, basketball camp, football camp, whatever you want to do, but also send your child to money camp, because your child's not going to be a professional basketball player, most likely. Most likely, your child is not going to be a professional football player. Most likely, your child is not going to be a professional cheerleader or dancer. But your child is definitely going to need money one day, because money is the root of all oppression. Money is the root of all misery for many Black people in America. Money is the root of all evil when it comes to how Black people are mistreated in this country. Money is the root of many of the things that we suffer from on a daily basis. So freedom is not something that you can just have because you wish for it or you pray for it. Freedom is something that you plan for. I talked to a guy who's in the military. Now, shout out to my soldiers. I tend to have a lot of veterans and soldiers that follow me, and I love all of y'all, and I have a lot of respect for your sacrifice for this country. And I talked to a soldier, and he said, "Yeah, we had a saying back in the academy, which was that poor planning and preparation produces piss poor performance. Poor planning and preparation produces piss poor performance." And basically, all that means is that planning ahead is the key to success. Preparation is the key to success, and not preparing is the key to failure. So when you look at people that get broadsided, people that get hit by financial calamities, that end up in tough situations, and that are always reacting to bad things that happen. Oh, we can't pay the rent again this month. And you ask them, well, what were you doing in your life to prepare for disaster? A lot of people will tell you they weren't doing anything. There are a lot of people who only spend their whole life reacting. You probably know people like that in your family, where they go from one disaster after another. And when times are good and you come and you tell them, hey, why don't we prepare? Like, why don't we save some of this money? Why don't we invest some of this money? They don't want to do that. Give me a yes or no if you got people like that in your family. I have people like that in my family, where when times are good, then everything's good. They're relaxed. They're having fun. They're spending their money. They're going to the mall, right? But then when times get bad, they're not ready for that, right? Well, that they're violating a simple financial principle, that you use the good times to prepare for the bad times. When times are good, that's when you should be preparing for when times are bad. But there are some people who don't proact, they simply react. They're not preparing, they're simply responding to one crisis after another. And you don't want to live that way. And you definitely don't want your children living that way. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Like I said, the URL is blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. You can feel free to go take a look. And if you could, please hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button if you'd like to do that. And also, don't forget, the Black Wealth Bootcamp starts on January 7th. So if you'd like to join us for the Black Wealth Bootcamp, right now there's a pretty big discount that we're offering. It's a Black Friday kind of thing. And we can't offer a discount this big on a regular basis because we would lose money. But if you want to take advantage of it, you can go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. So there's the URL. We start on January 7th. I'm going to teach it myself. Also, the recording of all the last bootcamp sessions are there, so you can actually get started right now today if you want to just go through what we already did 5 years ago. We haven't done a bootcamp in 5 years, but the material is very good, so you can literally get started today. And then live classes begin on January 7th. So feel free to go take a look. There's the URL, blackwealthbootcamp.com. So hit the thumbs up button, share and subscribe button. Text the word Boyce to 31996 to get notifications. I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.